Falcons head coach Dan Quinn with us for the full 90 minutes of NFL Live today, so plenty of time to dive into what you could take away from Super Bowl 51 and even be a better team this year. Earlier in the show, we looked at the first half when you just saw highlights of the third quarter, part of the fourth quarter. So when you self-scout and look back over the entire season, did you see things that were recurring during the regular season too that you could kind of point to as, and then that sort of appeared again in the Super Bowl?
I think what we saw when you go back into the offseason, you basically do an audit and you want to go back through all the games, 19 games, things you did well, things you didn't improve upon, and we saw real improvement in terms of the guys. From we start at the beginning and you go through the cut-ups, and I thought we started to hit our stride and thought this could be a team that could compete for a championship. Maybe around Thanksgiving into mid-December, we were starting to feel it, and you have to have that on all sides of the ball, and we started to get stronger and gain more confidence, as the end of the regular season came. We were fortunate enough to win the division, and then as we got into the playoffs, we were playing at our best. And honestly, that's what you want, as a coach, to see your team improve. We had some young guys who maybe had some battle scars early on, and then now we started to learn from those. And we were going to have some more from this game, and we won't necessarily be able to show what we've learned until we go through this season again. You can talk about the lessons, but now we've got to get back into difficult plays, difficult environments, say, okay, we've been in this place before, how do we get better?
Well, I asked the question that way because there are numbers that show the fourth quarter overtime score differential for you guys, which was 31st in the NFL, just behind the Panthers. So I kind of wondered if you look at that and say, all right, this is how we know we can be a better team in the fourth quarter.
Yeah, 100%. And for a team that wants to be known as a finisher, that's the one. And so that part is always at the front of our thinking. How can we finish better? That's workouts, that's the meeting time. That's really a mindset, to have a warrior mindset, say, all right, we're going to go close it right now and finish. And we know we can do better at that part. And that's going to be a real aim for us this year.
How do you do that?
By being in those situations, because you can talk about it, but now we've got to be in those spots, Adam, where the time comes. This is the time we talked about. It's time to close. And until you get there, all the talk, all the build-up to go into that, it'll come back for us.
Yeah, it's application, right? I mean, you have to be able to apply. What's it really going to look like? Like you said, you can sit in a meeting room and talk about all the things that went on and occurred and snowballed, but how does it really apply once you hit that field again and really starting in OTAs, how that looks?
And I hope when we come back and have this show again next year, we can talk about that to say, how did you finish better, Dan, in terms of the team and the attitude and the mindset?
Well, offensive coordinator Kyle Shanahan, he just recently talked about the one play. If he could have one back, it was a 2nd and 10. It was 28-20, a 2nd and 10. Matt was sacked. That was sort of his play. And then there was a holding call on the next play, then an incomplete pass. Right? What would be your one play?
I guess when you go back through it, like you look through them and say, man, there's a number of them. Those are the ones that keep you up. And the what-if game goes pretty deep.
Yeah.
And the first couple weeks after that game, that was a lot of what-ifs. That's why I did watch it so much. I wanted to watch it from our point of view, from their point of view, to see what I could gain from it. At the time, taking a shot to our, MVP, to our best player is that's a pretty good shot. And it didn't work out. And as a competitor, that's how we got to there, by being aggressive and going for it. So it didn't work out. And so when you look back, if the consequences were different and we ran it and had a chance to kick it and make it, no doubt I'd like to do that part over. On the defensive side, we could have had more stops. We could have created a turnover. We could have stopped a 2-point play. So it's not about one play. Right. And Kyle did a fantastic job being aggressive the whole year. But we are a team. And so although the one play comes up and it gets scrutinized a lot, there's plenty of plays in the game that we could have done to make the difference.
There's a lot of one plays. Somebody mentioned to me that on the coaching tape of the Super Bowl, on the play in which Donta Hightower sacked Matt Ryan and caused the fumble, that on the coach's tape, Aldrick Robinson was running wide open downfield. Did you see that at all on any of the replays that you watched?
As I went back through it, there's certainly ops, and I don't know if it was Al who had that one on that particular play, and it sounds like it must have been, but that's ball, man. And when guys are competing at the very highest level, that's where it comes down to, that split decision on plays here and there. So we tip our hat to them. And, they finished and we didn't. And it'll always be painful, but I'm hopeful that the lessons that we're going to gain from it are going to carry us, and me especially, for the next 25 years.
What's the biggest message to the team so far this offseason?
For us, when we came back, we went right back to base camp, Susie, and that's like we were right back. We're not at the bottom, but we're not at the top either. And there are so many teams just like us. It's Carolina and Tampa and New Orleans in our division who are like, you've got to go put out. And so having a plan for your off season over the next 9 weeks, what would that look like? And for us, that was putting a point of attack tape together for every player on the team. These are the things in your game that you're already doing really well. Here's a couple of things. Might have been one thing that over the next month and a half we want you to nail. And sometimes when you're playing at a good level, it's really hard to get to that next spot. And honestly, that's for each of the guys. We're challenged. Can we go to a new spot? And for the coaches too.
I tell you, I love that. I mean, just from a former player perspective, that's what I did. Starting year about year 5 for me, I'd been to a Pro Bowl, and I remember, how do you go from this level to the next level? How does your team keep winning 11, 12 games, winning the division, all those things? And we always talked about winning our division first. But the one thing, what's the one thing you can get better on, and then sharing that with your room, sharing it with offensive line. And for me, the very first time I ever did it was a block back, which is a very simple block for a center. You're really going away from the point of attack, but I wasn't doing it well. I was getting too high, and I remember sitting down with Howard Mudd and just, hey, this is what I'm going to work on. And then those guys in my room challenging me, and that's what I did in every individual period. But you find the one thing, and the remarkable part about that is, it brings you back to the level where this is where I'm starting, and now I'm going to move in this direction. And you stop thinking about last year's game, what you did in last. You start thinking about the future, and it really does help reset you. And I love that you gave them, hey, here's what you've done well, but this is what we got to improve. And if each guy gets better at that one thing, as a team, wholly, we will be much better. And I absolutely love it. I know Peyton did it, I did it, and then guys, it kind of filtered through our team. But the one thing is so important for guys to realize: you can always get better at something, and that's what you got to focus on.
What impressed me to hear that your teammates knew it too, and now you have somebody to help check your work.
That's right.
Where it wasn't just Howard, it was somebody else. Hey man, lower. And having your teammates know what you're trying to get better at, that's a significant portion to it.
And they cheer you. They're on. When you do it well, now they're celebrating with you. When you, hey, get this, snap your hips here, do those things. Again, footwork, it's all better. Those things are really what push you, and they unite you as a team. Yep. Really good to hear you guys doing that.
And of course, the Falcons are going to have to overcome some history, but we've had some fun dialogue about this, right? The last team to lose in the Super Bowl, then come back and win the next year. Pretty good. It was the undefeated 72 Dolphins.
Oh,
right? So we have high hopes and high
like
expectations. All right, finally, for the last time, let's put it in the rearview mirror. Here's how it played out.
Throws down the middle for Edelman. Ball's tipped. And Julian diving for it. Did he make the catch? He did. Tom takes the snap. He backs up. Hands it to White. Up the middle. Touchdown, Patriots. Quick throw to Amendola. It's a tie game in Super Bowl 51.
I cannot believe what I'm witnessing.
So it is on to overtime. Throws down the middle in traffic. Hit by Edelman. Toss sweep right for James White.